Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a comprehensive analysis of Osisko Development Corp, ticker symbol ODV, a gold mining company that's been making some waves in the market. If you're looking to understand whether this stock is a potential gem for your portfolio, stick around because we're covering everything from financials to recent performance and even an intrinsic value breakdown. Let's get started. First up, let's set the stage with a quick overview of Osisko Development. This is a company focused on gold exploration and development, with a flagship project that's got a lot of investors paying attention. They're dual-listed on the NYSE and TSXV under the ticker ODV, and they've been pushing hard to advance their key assets. If you're new to the gold mining space, companies like Osisko are often high-risk, high-reward plays, especially when they're in the development phase. So, let's unpack what makes this company tick and whether it's worth your investment dollars. Alright, let's talk about who Osisko Development really is. Based out of Montreal, Canada, Osisko Development is a gold mining company focused on exploring, evaluating, and developing mining projects. Their crown jewel is the Caribou Gold Project in British Columbia, Canada, which they're working to bring into production. They've also got interests in other properties like the Intrinsic project in Utah and some assets in Guerrero, Mexico. Led by CEO Sean Rosen, the company employs around 100 people and operates in the highly cyclical basic materials sector, specifically in the gold industry. With a market cap of about $483 million and a stock price hovering around 330 cents, they're a smaller player, but one with ambitious plans. Their mission is clear: turn resources into reserves and eventually into cash flow. But as we'll see, they're not quite there yet. Now, let's dive into their revenue story. Looking at their income statements, Osisko Development reported revenue of about $35.4 million for the full year 2025, which is a step up from just $4.6 million in 2024. However, if we look further back, they had $64 million in revenue in 2022, so the trend isn't exactly a straight line upward. This volatility is pretty common for development stage miners. They're not yet in full production, so revenue often comes from smaller operations or pre-production sales. Unfortunately, I don't have detailed breakdowns by product or geography to share, but it's safe to say their revenue is heavily tied to their progress at Caribou and other key projects. The big question is whether they can scale this up as they move toward production in the coming years, especially with gold prices remaining strong. Moving on to earnings, let's break down their recent performance. For the full year 2025, Osisko reported a net income of negative $168.9 million, translating to an EPS of negative 95 cents. That's a hefty loss, though it's not entirely unexpected for a company in the development phase where heavy investments are the name of the game. Compared to 2024, where they lost $86.3 million, or negative 0.92 per share, the losses have widened, largely due to increased operating expenses and project costs. Looking at their Q4 2025 highlights from recent news, they ended the year with a cash position of about $68 million, which gives them some runway, but they're burning through cash fast. The key takeaway here is that profitability is still a ways off, and investors need to be patient, or at least comfortable with the risk. Let's zoom into their financial statements for a closer look at the numbers. On the balance sheet, Osisko had total assets of $1.26 billion as of the end of 2025, up significantly from $856.9 million in 2024. However, their total liabilities also climbed to $579.1 million, with a debt-to-equity ratio of about 0.21, which isn't alarming but worth watching. Their cash position, as I mentioned, sits at $68 million, down from $106.7 million the prior year. Current ratio is decent at 1.45, meaning they can cover short-term obligations, but just barely. On the cash flow side, they're reporting negative free cash flow of $120.8 million for 2025, driven by heavy capital expenditures of nearly $96 million. This is the reality of a development company. Cash goes out faster than it comes in. Return on equity is a concerning negative 30%, and their net profit margin is a staggering negative 476%. These metrics scream high risk, but they also reflect a company betting big on future production. Now let's talk valuation. Osisko's price-to-sales ratio is sky-high at around 18.85, which isn't surprising given their low revenue base and development status. Their price-to-earnings ratio is negative at 6.9, reflecting those heavy losses. Enterprise value stands at $745 million, factoring in their debt and cash position. Compared to the broader gold industry, where the average PE ratio is around 26.5, Osisko isn't directly comparable since they're not profitable yet. Forward PE estimates for 2028 and 2029 suggest a range of 2.78 to 3.91, which implies the market expects profitability down the line, but that's a long way off. At a current price of $3.30, you're essentially buying into the potential of their projects, not their current financials. Whether that potential is worth the risk depends on how much faith you have in their execution. All right, let's break down Osisko Development with a SWOT analysis to get a clear picture of where they stand. Starting with strengths, their Caribou Gold project is a major asset with significant upside if they can bring it to production as planned. Recent updates show impressive drilling results, like intercepts of 596.4 grams per ton of gold over 2 meters, which bodes well for resource expansion. They've also got a solid cash position relative to many peers, bolstered by recent financings like a $125 million bought deal offering in early 2026. On the weaknesses side, their consistent losses and negative cash flow are a red flag. They're burning money on development, and any delays or cost overruns could hurt. Opportunities are plenty, gold prices are strong, and Caribou's net present value is highly leveraged to those prices. Plus, their strategic asset sales, like the San Antonio Gold Project in 2026, show they're willing to streamline operations. Threats include regulatory hurdles, especially with permitting at Caribou, and the inherent volatility of the gold market. If gold prices dip, their valuation could take a hit. Overall, it's a high-stakes play with big potential but real risks. Let's take a look at Osisko's recent stock performance. Over the past week, the stock is down 2.09%, but zoom out a bit and the picture gets brighter. They're up 1.36% over the past month, 20.65% over 3 months, and a whopping 55.883% over 6 months. Over the past year, ODV has surged 159.72%, which is incredible compared to the gold industry's 172.59% gain over the same period. However, over 5 years, they're down 81.05%, reflecting the tough road they've traveled as a development company. On the chart, you can see strong upward momentum in the short term, but with a beta of 1.91, this stock is volatile and moves more aggressively than the market. If you're considering a short-term move, keep an eye on resistance levels around $3.50. Breaking that could signal more upside, but a pullback to $3 isn't out of the question given recent choppiness. Now, let's dig into an intrinsic value analysis to see if Osisko is over or undervalued. Given that they're a pre-production company with negative earnings, a traditional discounted cash flow model is tricky to apply. Instead, I'm looking at their asset value, project potential, and market sentiment. The Caribou Gold project is central to their story. An analyst reports suggest its net present value could be significantly higher than their current market cap if gold prices hold and they hit production targets by 2027, as some projections indicate. Their enterprise value of $745 million already factors in some of that potential, but there's room for upside if execution goes smoothly. So what's the verdict on intrinsic value? Based on the potential of Caribou and their other assets, I'd estimate Osisko's fair value could be in the range of $4.50 to $5.50 per share in a best-case scenario over the next few years, assuming no major hiccups and favorable gold prices. That's a premium to the current $3.30 price, suggesting there's upside potential for long-term investors. However, this comes with a huge caveat. Execution risk is high, and any delays or cost overruns could wipe out that premium. This is definitely a speculative play, so size your position accordingly.
MarketSnap brings everything long-term investors use daily into one clean, fast platform. Explore stock financials, SWOT analysis, valuation ratios, 5-year analyst estimates, and our intrinsic value calculator. built with real fundamentals, not hype. All in a layout that's simple to read and ridiculously fast to navigate. And when you want to talk investing, join Nexus, our community where investors share valuations, posts, and stock discussions, all connected directly to the data. Use our Stock's Intrinsic Value Calculator to run and save real valuations with no spreadsheets. Share your analysis and valuations with others in the Nexus community. Get daily market summaries in video, audio, and article formats. Track the market with our earnings, dividend, and economics calendar. Our homepage gives you a real-time market overview with interactive heat maps, top market movers, and major index performance at a glance. Track daily performances, discover the most active stocks, and analyze performance across different timeframes, from weekly to yearly trends, and see which industries are leading or lagging. It's free to create an account, with optional access to premium forward-looking data. Try it now at MarketSnap.com and invest with clarity, not noise. That's a wrap for today's stock market summary from MarketSnap. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to stick with us for daily updates and deep dive SWOT analyses to keep your investment strategy sharp. Whether you're navigating short-term turbulence or building wealth for the long haul, we've got the insights to help. See you tomorrow.